On India Upfront with me, Rahul Shivshankar. Viewers, we're going to focus on a story that has captured the national imagination. Why has it done so? Because it draws attention to one of the longest ongoing genocides in history. But till date, Kashmiri Hindus have been denied justice, dignity, security. They aren't even guaranteed survival. Viewers, today, as another one of India's sons, Rahul Bhat, was gunned down at point-blank range, many chose to shun onus. Let's begin with the administration. The administration that is entrusted with safeguarding lives, especially those of a minority, despite having been alerted to threats, could not save. Rahul Bhat could not provide security. Many requests were made. They were ignored. And he isn't the first, viewers. Many more Kashmiri Hindus have been singled out for their faith and exterminated. This is a community that has got no justice, none whatsoever, for 3.5 decades. But what they got today was unspeakable. They got contempt, lathi loads of contempt. They were tear-gassed mercilessly, almost treated at par with the pelters who represent the ideology that is hunting the Kashmiri Hindu down. From victims, they became perpetrators in the imagination of the state. And this is inexcusable. I don't know why it happened. Did it happen because someone wanted to bury the truth? Silence the voice of the victims? I don't know, viewers, but it is quite possible. The truth, however, cannot be silenced. It cannot be gassed. And tears that once flow cannot be wiped out by a state's diktat. They stain the soil, viewers, and Kashmiri Hindu tears have been staining the soil of Kashmir for 3.5 decades. Their blood has blotted the conscience of the state and of those who continue to deny that there is Hindu phobia in the valley. Naked, dancing, depraved Hindu hate. It has taken the courageous parents of Rahul Bhat to speak tonight, viewers, because others were being gassed, ignored, or driven into silence. Listen.
हमें अंदेशा था क्योंकि वो वर्नेबल एरिया है, वो काफ़ी वो चाडोरा जो है बड़गाम के मुकाबले में काफ़ी अनसेफ जोन है, इसलिए हम उसकी मिसेस चाहती थी कि वो सिटी में आ जाए। वो 1-2 बार डीसी ऑफिस में मिली थी, डीसी उनसे कि बोल रहे थे कि ट्रांसफ़र करवाओ उसकी, बाकी ऐसे नहीं कोई गलती।
माँ क्या कहना चाहेंगे आप?
कुछ नहीं।
कल कितने बजे आपको पता चला?
3:30 बजे।
क्या कहा?
मेरे को हिम्मत नहीं बोलने के लिए।
इन्हीं की किलिंग हो रही है, फेलियर नहीं हो रहा। कितनी बार हम सही, वो तो ऑब्वियसली है ही। कश्मीरी पंडित इनको क्या 90 में क्या किया था? एक को मारा, दहशत फैला दिया ताकि सब भाग जाएंगे। इनका यही है। मैं सीधा महबूबा मुफ्ती नेशनल कानपुर, उनका जो सच्चाई कश्मीर फाइल से बाहर निकली, उनके लिए थप्पड़ है।
The truth came out, viewers, in a movie. It took a movie to bring this out because we had buried our own history, the reality so deep that we had forgotten to care or give justice. Viewers, Today, Kashmiri Hindus need your support. They need you to speak up for them. Will you? I hope you will, because they've been abandoned by every Kashmiri Neta today. They have been abandoned by that rights lobby that stands up in Azad Maidan in Mumbai, or in Jantar Mantar in Delhi, or on the beach in Chennai, or viewers outside the Secretariat in Calcutta, or Kaban Park in Bengaluru. That lobby that comes out and lights a candle because they say there is rampant Islamophobia in India. That lobby, viewers, has passed on without care, without a glance, the pain of the Kashmiri Hindu, viewers, because it doesn't suit their narrative. The dead, viewers, need people to speak up for them. They can't speak. They need justice. They don't need apathy. They don't need politics. They don't need callousness. They don't certainly need an agenda. And viewers, today so many Kashmiri Hindus have formally put in their papers. They've resigned. They don't want to stay in Srinagar. And they tendered their resignation en masse to the governor, and this is what they said. They said that after being dejected by the policies of the administration that has failed to give securities to Hindus serving in the valley, we are promised dignified and an honourable return. But right to life is fundamental to all human beings. We have no option anymore but to resign en masse to save our lives because we're getting no security. They are holding, viewers, a candlelight march today in Lal Chowk, in that same Lal Chowk where none of their politicians, their representatives have the guts to go. These people who are marked for death are standing there even as we speak, viewers, with placards in their hands. This is a slap across our face. And the threat to them is only growing. Today, once again, viewers, the Lashkar-e-Toiba's front organization, an Islamist terror organization, a fundamentalist organization, has come out and said that we will eliminate each and every Kashmiri Hindu because they are kafirs. This is not a battle being waged because of some imagined alienation. This is a crusade that is being waged against the Hindu community, against India's secular ethos, against the very idea of India, and you better believe it. Because if you don't, you will become complicit. All those activists, all those muftis, all those Abdullahs, all those Twitter tigers, and all those activists from JNU to Jamia to wherever, their silence makes them complicit. It makes them so complicit, viewers. But despite the unmistakable signs of the perversion, of the xenophobia, of the hate, there are still some who are shamelessly deflecting on us. Viewers, they are passing on the buck to the Kashmir files. They're making excuses by blaming some ridiculous, abstract alienation theory. Listen to them. If you don't believe me, listen to them.
जुम्मे के दिन तमाम मस्जिदों में हिंदू मुस्लिम भाईचारे की हिफाजत की पुरजोर वकालत की जाए और साथ ही में जो जम्मू कश्मीर का जो भाईचारा है, जो जम्मू कश्मीर का जो इतिहास रहा है, जो हिस्ट्री रही है कि हम इकट्ठे रहने वाले लोग हैं, एक सेक्युलर स्टेट है, पूरे मुल्क को मैसेज दे ताकि मुल्क में जो इस वक्त सरकार है उनको मुसलमानों को बदनाम करने का मौका ना मिले।
हम क्या करने जा रहे हैं कश्मीरी पंडितों के लिए, ये बहुत ही अहम सवाल है। कश्मीरी पंडित भी है और वहाँ की आम जनता भी सुरक्षित नहीं है। ये बात सिर्फ पंडितों तक अब सीमित नहीं है। हनुमान चालीसा, लाउड स्पीकर जैसे मुद्दे से कश्मीरी पंडितों का मामला या कश्मीर का मामला हल नहीं होगा।
सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट उसको कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रही है। अभी कोई स्टेट गवर्नमेंट वहाँ नहीं है, कोई मिनिस्ट्री नहीं है, आर्म फोर्स के अंडर भी चल रहा है। तो गवर्नमेंट का फेलियर है। और इस किस्म का घटना का होना, चाहे कश्मीर में हो चाहे पूरे हिंदुस्तान में किसी भी जगह हो, उसकी निंदा होनी चाहिए।
पाकिस्तान को जवाब किसने देना है? आम आदमी तो नहीं देगा ना। पाकिस्तान को जवाब हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट ने देना है, और हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट उसका नाम लेने को तैयार नहीं है। और मैं आपसे बताना चाहता हूं, फिर बार बार चेताते हैं कि कश्मीर फाइल की वजह से कश्मीरी पंडितों को मारा जा रहा है कश्मीर के अंदर।
Viewers, you heard Mehbooba Mufti, who said that this incident is going to become an opportunity for some to malign Muslims. Viewers, it's the same Mehbooba Mufti who has no problem yoking the Hindu faith with terror. Hindu terrorists is what she constantly refers to when there are lynchings which should be condemned outright of Muslims in other parts of the country. She blames it on Hindu terrorists. Today, viewers, when the Kashmiri Hindu is being marked out for his faith, they won't call it Hindu phobia. They won't call it that, viewers. There is a double standard. And I want to tell you, you heard the Kashmir Congress leader there. What did he say? The Kashmir files has prompted this backlash. The Congress party has forgotten that the TRF has been around for 3 years or 4, and they have been issuing diktats about targeting, as I just read out to you, Kashmiri Hindus, saying that we don't want a cosmopolitan valley, we want a caliphate, and anyone that doesn't bow their heads to our way is going to be killed, even if that is a Muslim, viewers. Yet you have cowards in the National Conference or the PDP who can't bring themselves to call this what it is: Islamist bigotry, Hindu phobia. They can't. They can't, viewers, and they won't. And therefore, I want to open this up, and I want to first go across to Sunanda Vashisht, who has suffered firsthand what Rahul Bhat and his family have gone through. Sunanda Vashisht, tonight, tell our viewers, what is the cause for what we are seeing? And don't today pull your punches. You never do.
Thanks, Rahul. Obfuscation is not on the part of terrorists and jihadis at all. There is no obfuscation on this. I can blame them for everything, but I cannot blame them for obfuscation. Obfuscation is only on our side. What is the pattern here? The pattern is clear. The pattern is that they have been killing in ones and twos and threes, and they have been spreading terror everywhere. Do they hide after killing? No, they do not hide after killing. After killing, they clearly go and explain to everyone who is willing to listen why they have killed. They have killed them simply for being Hindus. And this is just one, you raised this issue today, tomorrow it will become a statistic. But think about what has been happening since, let's not even talk about 30 years or anything. Let's just talk about since January 2021, things that I can just remember. Jeweler, Satpal Nischal, Akash Mehra, Supinder Kaur, Deepak Chand, Ajay Bharti, now this. You know, they have been every 2 months, every 3 months, they kill people in the name of jihad because they do not want any Hindus there. It is clear. They want Hindus as terrorists, as tourists. The terrorists want Hindus as tourists. They do not want them to come there and rehabilitate. Rahul, I just want to make this thing a broader thing. After every 5 years or 10 years, the government should look at the policies that are being put into effect. This PM package, which was started by Manmohan Singh in 2005 and 2008, in the name of rehabilitation, has spectacularly failed. This is not a rehabilitation process. This is something that is making them sitting ducks. I request this government to go back and look at this package and do not call this rehabilitation package. You are making them sitting ducks there. How is it possible that in broad daylight at 4:30 p.m. two terrorists with pistols in their hand can enter a tehsildar's office, which was full of people? He was not alone. Rahul Bhat was not alone there. It was full of employees and regular people. This was a revenue department's office. Two people come in there and they shoot him point blank. There is no other collateral damage. Nobody else is hurt. Nobody else is shot. Why? What does this tell you? They clearly a premeditated murder. They knew they were going to go and kill this Hindu man there. So it's clear we are in a civilizational battle. What are we trying to hide? This is a jihad is by definition a civilizational battle. We are against a murderous ideology which does not believe in existence of kafirs. So they are going to kill everyone who does not belong to their faith, who does not subscribe to their jihadi ideology, who does not believe in making Kashmir a Nizam-e-Mustafa. Since 1990, and I mean, these people always get upset when I talk about 700 years. So let's not even talk about 700 years. Let's talk about only 1990. Since 1990, this so-called war of self-determination has been announced from every masjid, every mosque. This so-called war of determination has already said that they want Nizam-e-Mustafa in Kashmir. So what are we talking about? All this rehabilitation package and economic package and all this is not going to work. I request this government to scrap PM package. There are about 3,800 employees.
Yes.
Your viewers may not know, this is not thousands of employees out there. There are only 3,800 employees, or maybe 4,000 at the most. Take them out, give them jobs somewhere else in Jammu or in neighboring states. This is not helping. Every 2 months, now you've announced an SIT, now you have announced a hot pursuit. For 2 months, they will stay quiet. There's a pattern. After 2 months, they will kill some other person.
They will kill. They will kill because this is, as you say.
Just 1 second. We have come to a stage, because of this policy, we've come to a stage where Kashmiri Hindus had to be gassed and lathi charged today. Scrap this policy. It's not helping anybody.
It's not. It's scandalous, actually. It is inexcusable. It is inexcusable. And there are two issues that Sunanda Vashisht has drawn our attention to. One is, of course, the administrative failure and short-sightedness, General Saab. The other one is what she says is Hindu hate, unvarnished, shaped into a civilizational battle, a kind of jihad to establish a Nizam-e-Mustafa in Kashmir, or a caliphate in Kashmir, where anyone who is a kafir is not welcome. Mr. Kashani, today, will you have the guts to look your sister, your Kashmiri sister, in the eye and say, I agree with you? Because you're a living testament of that. And viewers, let me tell you, the ISIS, the Lashkars, the Qaidas, they kill more Muslims than anyone else. Why? Because they also believe certain Muslims who don't want to conform to this obscurantism are kafirs. They kill them. This does not compromise
the democracy of Jammu and democracy of India.
What? Mr. Kashani, what are you saying?
Yes, Miss Sunanda, and you are disrespecting the political killings that have happened. People who have laid their lives believing in the democracy of India. You are trying to generalizing things that every single Kashmiri is against Hindu.
Mr. Kashani, I just want you to say tonight. I just want you to say tonight that the TFIR is an Islamist terror organization, and I will salute you. Just say TFIR is an Islamist, bigoted Islamist terror organization, and the debate ends. I will move on.
That is something court to decide.
Court to decide.
Do you believe in judiciary of our country or not?
Let me read out.
If you believe, then it is sub judice.
Let me read out. Let me read out what the TFIR has said. Let me read it out for you, viewers. Let me read out. Non-locals and migrated Hindus are on our priority target list. Migrant Hindus assigned to play the victim card and re-enter our valley, and we will not allow it.
This is definitely not acceptable.
One second. You call it what it is, Islamist bigotry, like you call out Hindutva hate. Call it.
This is definitely.
Don't tell me that the court has to. Don't tell me that the court has to rule on this.
Mr. Rahul, this is against the basic fundamentals of Islam.
You say that this is part of a program which is
to do with the religion.
No, I'm saying to you, if you can call out Hindutva terror, I want you to call out Islamist hate tonight on this channel.
You want to paint every Kashmiri with a single brush.
I'm sorry, sir. If you don't speak up, you will become complicit. Let me bring in. Let's ask another Kashmiri viewer tonight. Let me ask another Kashmiri, Javed Beg. Javed Beg joins me tonight. And where is he standing? This very brave Kashmiri is standing in Lal Chowk. And who is he standing with? He's standing with the Kashmiri Hindus, viewers. And what is he saying? I agree with you that this is Islamist intolerance, this is Hindu phobia. Javed Beg, am I right or am I wrong?
You are absolutely right. There is a largest section of our society who have this Hindu phobia. They hate non-Muslims. They hate few sects within Islam.
Really
they are intolerant. Hindu phobia is a reality. It is truth. It is truth. My friend denying, he is still in denial. And one more gentleman saying the Kashmir files is responsible for all these killings. What Kashmir file was made during the 90s
I am definitely
when
not
Kashmiri
in
Pandits were
denial,
massacred.
Mr. Javed.
Mr. Kashani, keep quiet. If you want to respect democracy, hear the real voice
from
of
my
democracy,
village.
not a paid
This Rahul,
like you.
Rahul was
Sorry
from my village. This is the second generation being targeted. First generation, his father was targeted in 97. Now he again targeted. This gentleman, Rahul, was my friend. We belong to same village, same tahsil. He wanted to construct a school for Muslim children in his village. This is what he told me last time I met him. Very unfortunate. This gentleman saying Kashmir files is responsible for this. This is utter shame for all these people. Somebody living in denial is anti-human. My friend is anti-Kashmiri. You know, he's still in that mindset, Hindu versus Muslim. Here, this is not Hindu versus Muslim. This is Insaniyat versus Haywaniyat. Somebody who believes in Insaniyat will always stand with,
Javed,
any religion which is being targeted.
That's what I'm saying. This is not Hindu versus
Listen,
Muslim.
Mr. Kashani, if you have the guts, go right now. If there is democracy alive, as you are saying in Kashmir, go right now to Lal Chowk. Go right now to Lal Chowk and stand with these Kashmiri Hindus. I will, sir. No, 1 second. You please go, Mr. Kashani. Don't give us lectures here and become an apologist for this hate.
You need to understand this.
You go straight to Lal Chowk right now.
This is the
go
problem.
Right now and stand next to Javed Beg and prove that democracy is alive and kicking.
This is the problem. Condemnation tweets will not help. A strong strategy of this failed government may help.
Listen, this is not
acceptable.
You are a militant.
Other than their own.
You are a militant-minded person.
Is me going to Lal Chowk gonna help? It's not.
You are completely your own colleague.
We need a strong decision from the government.
Your own compatriot, Javed Beg, is telling you.
We need the government to introspect what they have achieved.
You need to introspect. The government will be made to answer, and I will ask those questions. But Mr. Kashani, you need to have a knowledge of corruption like Javed Beg does.
They have failed.
Don't shut down Javed Beg. Shut this man down. Let's listen to Javed Beg.
Not many
Let's
people
listen to the voice of truth for once.
Barbaric act from the pulpits of masjids. There should have been people in thousands marching towards the house of Rahul Bhat. He was killed because he was a non-Muslim. He was killed because he was a non-Muslim. He was not in army, police or security forces. He was not a panchayat member. He was a government employee. We have 100,000 government employees who are from majority community. Nobody killed. Why was Rahul killed? Because he belonged to a different faith. Accept this. Nobody can stop me from speaking truth. My religion teaches me to speak truth. The first fiber and fundamental of my religion is to speak truth. I am a good Muslim, I will always speak truth. You in denial, you are anti-human, anti-Kashmiri, un-Islamic. You are speaking un-Islamic. I am speaking the language of my beloved Prophet. My beloved Prophet has taught me to speak truth in whatever circumstances, in whatever conditions. No, you are playing dirty politics. I condemn those so-called leaders who are the primary beneficiaries of India and today silent. I condemn
have some guts to question Abid Malviya, what have they achieved?
Who is trying to play dirty politics to Muslim votes on the plight of Kashmiri Pandits. You cannot write off a community of 600,000 people. They have equal right to be here, but it is up to majority community. It is written in the holy scriptures of Islam that a Muslim has to protect a non-Muslim living in his neighborhood. If that non-Muslim is in minority, you have to protect their life, their honor, dignity, the places of worship, their people and property. And I am ashamed of saying this. Even the holy places were encroached upon by us. We have to accept this.
Have some guts to question.
God will never forgive you. Allah will never forgive you.
You are nobody to decide who to forgive.
Speak
you are
truth.
nobody to decide.
This is high time to speak truth.
Practicality.
Speak truth. Speak truth.
Standing in
Speak truth.
won't help.
Nobody will buy your
Javed
life.
Beg,
Come out of whatever.
Javed Beg, I can tell you one thing. Javed Beg, I can tell you one thing, that the nation salutes you tonight. I can tell you, Javed Beg, that the nation salutes you tonight.
That has gone to.
I salute you. The nation salutes you. To my left is General Bakshi, who has fought in the trenches for our country in Kashmir, and he will salute you tonight. It takes guts to say what Javed Beg is saying. General Saab, does it not?
Absolutely, Rahul. May I remind people, my father served the Maharaja of Kashmir, Hari Singh, when the rest of South Asia was on fire.
For how long
there was one place which was peaceful, and that was the Valley of Kashmir, where there were no riots, there were no slaughter, there were no murder. What a distance we have traveled. What a distance we have traveled. Look at the radicalization that has been done. How the Sufi gentle Islam of Kashmir has been distorted, filled with hate, Wahhabis, to create a situation. That is why when I hear the courageous man like Javed speak the truth, I can hearken back to those times, and I pray to God that those times will come back. That all this radicalization, this Wahhabization, this murder, this absolute ethnic cleansing, this genocide will give way to rational reason, the clear stream of reason. I hope and pray it comes back. I hope more people like Javed find their voice.
Exactly. It won't come back till people like Javed Beg are given support. We need Javed Beg. We need Javed Beg, not Mir Jafars. We need Javed Beg, not Mir Jafars. But I want to ask a fundamental question. 1 minute. 1 minute, lower everyone. 1 second. I want to bring in Mr. Malviya. Mr. Malviya, look. Let's be honest here. Hindus, Muslims, they're citizens of Kashmir. They're all citizens. And today, we are seeing impunity. People are walking into government offices. They have the audacity to take out people in uniform. This is not done. Mr. Malviya, this is not done. Yes, you are fighting against an uncompromising ideology. It is not easy. But you also know that there are people who are on hit lists and they need security. And I want you to tell me, Amit Malviya, why is it that security was not given? Right now there's a march. Kashmiri Hindus in the dead of night in Srinagar are walking to the governor's mansion. To do what? to demand security, would you admit, sir, that you need to take some onus for what we are seeing here?
Look, Rahul, it is very tragic to see young men like Rahul being killed like this in cold blood. It's unfortunate that this series of killing, particularly for their faith, has been going on since the 1990s now. It's been almost 3 decades and over that. What we are trying to do in the last 7-8 years is reverse the demographic change that has been the norm in the valley. It's not an easy task by any means. And I was listening to Sunanda and I quite share her pain. But is the solution to abandon the valley and leave? I don't think so. If you're in the middle of a civilizational war, it will have to be fought and there will be consequences and there will be costs. And unfortunately, some people will bear that cost. The Indian government, the Indian army, the Indian paramilitary forces, and the people of Kashmir,
no, one second.
As the people of India are committed.
I empathize with you on that one point. Only the limited point that, yes, you need to stand and fight. We can't abandon this fight. I agree with you on that point. But I do have a problem with 2 things, sir. Now, you have been in power for 8 years. Have we had a commission set up to look into the genocide of Kashmiri Hindus, which is an ongoing exercise? Sunanda Vashisht has explained to us that it won't end till you have a Nizam-e-Mustafa in Kashmir. So I want to understand why we haven't had this commission set up. I was hoping it would be the first thing. The Sikhs got a commission. Kashmiri Hindus haven't got a commission. One, I don't want to make this about one community versus the other. Yes, some maybe are more blessed, maybe more politically relevant, I don't know. But there needs to be a thorough account of each Kashmiri Hindu life lost. And I'm waiting. And I would like you to make a commitment that your government, and you will communicate back to your government that this will happen sooner than later. 1. 2, I want to ask, what action is going to be contemplated by your administration against those that turned a deaf ear to the plea for security? Yes, fine. You want people to stand up to this machination, but you need to arm them for it. I'm not saying give them guns. I'm saying give them the moral courage through demonstrable security.
Rahul, to answer your questions, there will never be Nizam-e-Mustafa in Kashmir, or for that matter, any part of India, ever. And as long as the BJP remains in power, it will never be the case. Second point that you raised about security. Look, the idea is to get lakhs of Kashmiri Hindus who have fled the valley back to the valley. We do not want to build a colony in Kashmir where the Hindus live and the non-Hindus live elsewhere. That would defeat the purpose. Can we secure every individual there? It is practically not possible. But can we bring that sense of security? Yes, we can, and we have done so. The 3 men responsible for targeting Rahul have been eliminated in less than 24 hours. And we are committed to ensuring that those who have picked up the guns are annihilated in the valley, and they will be. You have to give us time to reverse what has been around there for almost 3 decades and more. It can't happen overnight. I understand there are costs. I understand there are implications. But we are committed. Have you ever seen a swifter action than this against those who've targeted Kashmiri Pandits? And while we speak, Yasin Malik, Bitta Karate and others who are responsible for the exodus of the Kashmiri Pandits are being tried. They will be behind bars for the rest of their lives. Perhaps some of them may get capital punishment. We don't know.
They just want to.
But nobody will escape law.
If you
Yasin Malik was a state
Mr. Kashani, please
party.
don't speak.
He's a criminal and a terrorist.
35 years you have ruled. 35 years you could not bring one person to book for the mass murder of Kashmiri Hindus. You have lost the right to speak. Mr. Kashani, if you believed in democracy and a multicultural society, you should have ensured justice, but you did not. You let people like Sunanda Vashisht. No, I'm sorry. You let people like Sunanda Vashisht look into the eye every day of the mass murderers who committed this genocide, and they have to live with it because of your cowardice. You're a coward. You're nothing more, Mr. Kashani. You're a coward. You are an absolute coward.
Feel the pain.
You have feel the pain. If you felt the pain, you would have ensured justice. You are a coward. You are an absolute coward. There's nothing more to say. Please, I advise you now to listen to General Bakshi. Advocate Nilufar, I want to bring her in, but I suspect that she will not have the courage of conviction to say what Javed Beg has said.
I would like to point out that you have lived with this pain for the last 3.5 decades, right? I think it's about time to have a movement. Kashmiri Pandit lives matter. They matter, sir. They just can't, they are not there for the slaughtering. They are not there for the killing. We will have to create an atmosphere. You will have to find more Javeds who will find their voice and stand up for decency, stand up for humanity, stand up and grieve for their brothers. We are all Indians in the end, at the end of it. And as far as that lunatic fringe is concerned, it will have to be hunted down and stamped out ruthlessly.
I would have agreed with you. I would have said this is a lunatic fringe, but when there are people who don't come out and stand against it, then I'm afraid it is becoming mainstream. And Advocate Nilufar will be one of those who you will see will stand on the fence tonight. She will not take a position. She will not call out what it is. Javed Beg has called it out. Hindu phobia. She can't bring herself to say those words.
No, they are.
Rahul, you cannot speak on my behalf. You cannot speak on my behalf.
Tell me then.
Give me time.
Call it Hindu phobia. Please, yes, you have all the time, but call it what it is. Be honest.
You are never allowing us to speak on the topic.
बात कीजिए, मैडम. बात कीजिए.
तो वो मैं बात कर रही हूँ ना.
मगर empty platitudes मत दीजिए आज.
I have the guts to look into the eyes of the Sunanda because she is talking about the jihad. Had that been the thing, then the Riyaz would not have been killed. You are talking about the double standard. What about the family of the Riyaz, who too has been killed today?
There you go.
You never named him.
You don't understand.
You never named him.
Nilufar, you don't understand. Advocate Nilufar, you don't understand what we are saying. Anyone who stands up for the Kashmiri Hindu, anyone who stands up for a moderate version will be killed. Whether he is Muslim or she is Muslim or he is Hindu or she is Hindu. You don't understand this. What did ISIS do? It slaughtered Muslims. You don't have the guts to tell your lunatic fringe, as General Bakshi calls it. I don't think it's a lunatic fringe. I think it's a very deliberate fringe that is getting in there and doing what it has to do, which is create an Islamic state. And you have and you have lost your spine. You are not standing up to it.
This is what you are not able to do.
Madam, आपको 4 votes नहीं मिलती कश्मीर में. आप जरा ज्यादा बात नहीं कीजिएगा, please. You don't get 4 votes in Kashmir. You understand that? So don't give me this lecture and stop shouting.
Muslims in thousands have been killed. You never named them. Have you named Riyaz today? You have never shared the pain of the parents of the Riyaz or his wife. This is how you are pushing Muslim against them.
Who killed those Muslims? A set of terrorists sent from abroad, trained abroad, armed abroad, given weapons and equipment from abroad and sent to kill.
Sunanda Vashisht wants to respond to Nilufar Advocate. 1 second. Sunanda Vashisht की आप बात सुनिए. मेरी आपको आवाज पसंद नहीं है. Let Sunanda Vashisht speak. Sunanda ji, yes.
So I need to answer. First, I need to both Mr. Kashani and Nilufar.
Yes.
Simple question, direct question. Muslims who were killed today and who have been killed, why are they being killed and who killed them? Can they answer that? Who killed those Muslims, the ones which he's talking about today also, and why was he killed? I will tell you why Rahul Bhat was killed. Rahul Bhat was killed because he was a Hindu. He was someone who stands against Nizam-e-Mustafa, who stands against Islamization of Kashmir. His very existence existence denies a caliphate to be formed in Kashmir. I am telling you why Rahul Bhat was killed. Can she tell me that why are patriotic Muslims killed? She will not tell you. She will not even tell you who kills them. She will not even mention the terrorists who kills them. Any Muslim who is killed by terrorists, what do they do about it? Do they go out on the streets? Do they scream about it? Do they say anything? They do not say anything. An important point has come out today out of this killing also, Rahul, that I'm afraid you in this whole thing didn't bring out. A very important point was Rahul Bhatt's wife. She has alleged that there was, and the investigation needs to be done, and I am pretty sure that there is something to there because there is a pattern. I look at patterns because my job is to look at patterns. The pattern, even today she pointed out that there must have been some collusion with the colleagues or with somebody around there who pointed them out there. How else would two terrorists who had never been there come into the office and just shoot this one person? He was not the only one in the office. So there is clearly a collusion. People who pick up guns have never been more than 3,000, 4,000 people at the peak of terrorism in Kashmir. Why does terrorism succeed in Kashmir? It's because of people like Nilofer and people like Kashani, because they come on this channel, Rahul, and they give them intellectual and they give them this whole, they whitewash their deeds. That is why terrorism succeeds in Kashmir. It does not succeed because of those 3,000 people who take AK-47s. Indian Army is enough to finish them off. But it is people like her who act as apologists for them, who come on national television and who will talk about poor Muslims who were killed by terrorists, but she will not name who killed them. She will not name jihadis. She has objection to the word jihad. Ask her when this war was announced from the mosques, when it was said that they want Kashmir without Kashmiri women, but with Kashmir men. What is it if it's not a civilizational warfare?
Okay. Let me go straight out. Let me go straight out.
Kashmir of Hindus. That is what
Sunanda Vashisht, you're very brave to say what you're saying tonight. And I suppose you can because you have faced this. And the Nilufars and the Kashanis of the world, viewers, are not going to tell you that more of these people kill more Muslims in Afghanistan, in Syria, than anyone else. And they will not tell you why. They will not call it out. They should have gone out there and stood today in the chalk where Javed Beg is standing. And I will come to Javed Beg, but I want to go straight across to Ishan, who is covering that protest. Ishan, you are with some of the protesters. What are these protesters demanding?
Well, there are simple demands that there should be end to these killings.
Okay, we have a problem.
I have with me Sajid Yusuf, an activist who has been raising this voice from several years. Sajid, can you tell us that you today hit the streets? What is the reason? You have been doing it in the past as well.
See, my real motive is that I want to march towards the Rajpal movement, request Manav Sanaji that to please shut down all the operations of the United Nations. We don't need any United Nations who are blind, who are acting like a blind, who are just working on the payroll of Pakistan. Because from the last 30 years, they have been just taking all the memorandums from these Pakistani institutes. Whenever any killings happens whenever these killings are happening in the Kashmir Valley, and we are going on the door, we are requesting to take this memorandum, and they are not paying any heed. That's why we are requesting LG administration to close all the operations, this Amnesty International or whatsoever is UN office. We don't need any kind of UN office in the Kashmir Valley who are acting like a blind.
Well, Rahul, as you can hear, that there is a United Nations military observers group that is stationed here, and they generally report their happenings to to different parts. And interestingly, they are saying that United Nations office has been just taking memorandum, but no concrete steps have been taken when it comes to killings, and they are just silent spectators. That's why they're demanding Lieutenant Governor and the government of India to shut down the United Nations.
I'll tell you something. These United Nations, UNMOG or whatever crap it is, sorry to say, viewers, is a biased organization that works only to amplify one side of the story. They should actually be shut down. I don't know why the Indian government even has this in Srinagar. Should be locked up. They didn't have a human rights commission, viewers, because of Article 370, but they had this Unmog office. Can you believe it? It should be shut down and thrown out. They do nothing, viewers, let me tell you, except for peddle agendas. Talk about only one side, not the other. But I'm not going down that rabbit hole right now. I want to go straight across to Javed Beg, who has captured the hearts and minds of Indians, and General Bakshi tonight. Javed Beg, you please answer Niloufar and this Mr. Kashani. Muslims are also being killed, and no one is running away from this reality. I started by saying it actually. Then more Muslims have died than Hindus in Kashmir, because it's Muslims like you, Javed Beg, who stand up and call a spade a spade. And I'm very, very nervous right now, even speaking to you, because I just want you to go away from there, because I know what's going to happen. You'll be marked out. The Niloufars and the Kashanis, they will never be called into question. They have become part of the consensus. But you are not. You speak truly from your heart. And I'm nervous right now. My heart is actually beating.
Yeah, true that is. I am just standing in front of historical Gantaghar, and hundreds of people are just watching me speak. I am not scared of anything. I am scared of those whose conscience is dead. I am scared of those who actually support this ideology of intolerance, ideology of hate, ideology of terrorism. I'm scared of those who are white-collar terrorists, who come to mainstream and propagate the ideology of hate, ideology of divide. This is what, unfortunately, our honourable axioms are doing now. Out of power, they have become soft separatists. And what they are doing is they are propagating, they are spreading negativity, they are spreading hatred. And as a result, this micro minority is being targeted. Rahul was not an army man, he was not an SOG man, he was not a policeman. He was working as 30 to 40,000 revenue officials are working in revenue department. Why was he targeted? So why should we need whataboutery? He was targeted because of his faith.
Yes.
He was solely targeted for that.
You can call this a law and order issue. Yes, it is a law and order issue. Obviously it is. Someone has been killed, but actually it is not. The appearance is that of a law and order issue. But what is driving this is what no one is going to call out. Only Times Now has the guts to do it. I will take a bullet. I don't care. But I will say it, viewers. It is unvarnished hate against those that don't believe in the idea of creating an Islamist caliphate in the valley. Whether it is Hindu or Muslim, they will all go. They will all get butchered. Now is the moment. Hindus and Muslims must unite. Like-minded Hindus and Muslims must unite, and they must take back the street from the terrorists. The Kashanis, the Niloufars, the Abdullahs, the Muftis should take a march. They should go. They should stand next to all these Hindu brothers and sisters in the streets in Lal Chowk and hold a mass protest against this. Send the message that Kashmir wants Kashmiriyat. It doesn't want a caliphate. Viewers, there are a large number of other deniers who are blaming the film Kashmir Files. I spoke to the director of Kashmir Files, Mr. Agnihotri. Here's what he said to me. Listen to this. Viewers, you all know Mr. Vivek Agnihotri as the filmmaker behind the iconic Kashmir Files that brought out the tragedy of Kashmiri Hindus. And yesterday, Rahul Bhat became the latest statistic in this ongoing saga. Agnihotri ji, what is your first thought on what has happened yesterday with regards to Rahul Bhat?
It's a sad day, but all I would say is that it proves what I have been saying for a long time, and you being from Kashmir would know that this is the longest continuous genocide in the history of humanity. It's been continuing for last 32 years, number one. And the second thing is that all these people who are part of terror organizations and who support ideologically or politically these terror organizations, they don't want development in Kashmir. When I was there, I spent a lot of time over there, and all the young people want to become part of development. And therefore you see how they targeted Rahul, because he was part of this new development process. And this is the problem with today's Kashmir.
Agnihotri ji, the fact is that the attacks are continuing. These are targeted attacks. What is your view on them? Why are they continuing? Number one, who is responsible for ensuring the safety of Kashmiri Hindus?
Obviously, the local government, the central government, all the agencies involved in this. But the problem is these are all guerrilla attacks, and these are targeted. They don't want... See, the problem is that after the abrogation of Article 370, a lot of people have started traveling to Kashmir, and people are coming from various parts of the country to work in central government and state government on many projects. And they think, the terror organizations, they think this will change the demography, it will bring back diversity into Kashmir. And that is what they don't want to happen. They basically want to destroy all the diversity. They just want one rule of one faith over there, and they don't want anybody with any different belief system to live in Kashmir. This is the biggest problem of Kashmir. But as far as the protection of lives is concerned, I think at this point of time I would appeal to the central government, to the state government, and especially the security agencies to go for zero tolerance. I don't think this too much of democracy is going to work in Kashmir. Just go for zero tolerance like we did in Punjab earlier, and we also did in Kashmir briefly for some time. I think it's for India to show, or I would say imitate the Israel model. You can live in diversity, you can be secular, you can do whatever you want, but zero tolerance to terrorism.
Zero tolerance to terrorism. I want to ask you this question. It's an important one. Many people ridiculed Kashmir Files, said it was a work of fiction. Yesterday we were hearing some Congress leaders who said that Kashmir Files is the reason why these targeted killings are taking place. What's your response to that group who says this?
See, it's a very sad commentary that Mr. Tharoor, Shashi Tharoor ji, who is a member of parliament, despite being so responsible, I remember categorically there, I've seen lots of reports, he was married to a Kashmiri Pandit lady. May God help her soul. See, it's a very sad commentary, because he belongs to a party which was led by Motilal Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, all Kashmiri Pandits. And Indira Gandhi has shown grief and pain on the suffering, and she has written letters saying that I despite being a Kashmiri Pandit, I am not being able to bring peace in Kashmir. Despite that, I am surprised that he is mocking the plight and the suffering and pain of Kashmiri Pandits. This film he is forgetting. I have got letters, I can send it to you, from B.K. Ganju's daughter, who was killed in a rice drum, from Girja Tikku's brother, who was gang raped and who was cut into pieces in live in saw machine. They have written letters to me, and thousands of letters, thousands of people have told me that the process of healing has begun after this film, because for the first time people have recognized or acknowledged their pain and suffering of the genocide. And these people, these politicians, shameless politicians, are mocking them, laughing at them. I think it's a very, very sad commentary. It pains me and saddens me that the party of Kashmiri Pandit, great Jawaharlal Nehru's, has reached a level where they are mocking the victims of genocide.
So let me ask you a pointed question. Do you believe that these killings are a result of endemic Hindu phobia in the valley? I'm being very blunt and upfront.
Since you have asked me a very honest question, let me tell you, yes, not just the terrorist in Kashmir or a large section of the society is Hindu phobic, but let me tell you today, the Congress party has also become Hindu phobic. The party in Delhi is also Hinduphobic. The problem is they associate Hinduism, I don't know for what reason, with Mr. Narendra Modi. And for their greed for power, their incompetence, their absolute collapse and failure, they don't know what to do, so they have started attacking Hindu. You will be surprised to know that yesterday when this killing happened, a lot of people were mocking and they were feeling good about it because they thought now they are one up and they can prove that this government is not doing its job. Now this is, I don't know, as an Indian, as a Bharati, as a citizen of humanity, I think this is the worst, this is the most inhuman thing, worse than terrorism.
My final question, Agnihotri ji, after Yasin Malik pleaded guilty in a terror case, you took to Twitter to hit out at genocide denials. Now, who are you referring to? Because I am not seeing on the streets of Kashmir the Mehboobas, the Abdullahs, the Muftis, whoever they are, out there holding placards saying this is Hinduphobia, we condemn Hinduphobia. We see a lot of them saying this in other parts of the country where they claim there is Islamophobia. All of them come out onto the streets. Who are these genocide deniers?
Okay, before I come to genocide denier, I want to tell you, Rahul ji, because you are a very sensible journalist, that's why you give the opportunity for people to speak their mind. As far as Farooq Abdullah, Omar Abdullah and Mufti ji, they are concerned, let me tell you one thing. Okay, because of their belief system, their faith in Islam, they may not talk about Hinduphobia, but at least they can say that terrorism is Indophobic. It's against India. It's against Bharat. They are not even willing to say that. They are not willing to admit that this terrorism is against the state of India and therefore it is Indophobic. If they say that, I am willing to give them that benefit of doubt. As far as who are these genocide deniers, and I don't shy in saying categorically that Congress, because Rahul Gandhi was mostly responsible in 80s, mid-80s when this started. And there are so many people. Ganju, Justice Ganju, who was killed by terrorists, his son has told me on record that he was flying with them with one of the senior most journalists of India, iconic journalist, I won't take his name. They were flying with Rajiv Gandhi and they said, why don't you control Kashmir? He said, how can I do that? Because we have great family relationships and we have great friendship with Mr. Abdullah. So friendship over nation, that's what I blame Congress for. Then our party, you see, they have continuously made inroads into Kashmir, Punjab, all these places which are terror ridden, and they give ideological, political support to these people. They are encouraged by these people. Then also in Bollywood, you must have read that the wife of a very famous star, she mocked them saying that now it's time to make nail files, as if it never happened, and she blamed us for lying. And these people, those people who are picking up Singapore, let me just tell you, Singapore, I am not saying that Americans say that, Hollywood people say that, Singapore is the most regressive state when it comes to freedom of speech, what Shashi Tharoor was taking credit for. They have, you can go to IMDb, they have banned hundreds and hundreds of films, including The Last Temptations of Jesus Christ. Some week back, they did not allow Badhai Do, which was an Indian LGBTQ film. They don't allow any film which refers to homosexuality, terrorism, religion, anything. So, yeah, these are the genocide deniers. And also people who write in Washington Post and New York Times, and they are saying because of this film, there are problems, and they are totally denying that the film is made on terrorism where thousands of people were killed.
My final question, it's an important one. We've seen today unprecedented scenes on the streets of Kashmir. We have seen Kashmiri Hindus marching, risking their lives. You know the conditions there. And they have been tear gassed. Now this, to my mind, is a travesty. How do you feel about this? This is a double victimization.
वो कहते हैं हिंदी में जब पानी सर के ऊपर से गुजर जाता है तो फिर that's when people come on streets. Now these people, the problem is that when a film came, the Kashmir files, people started acknowledging, recognizing this genocide. But still some people don't want them to heal. And one after another, they have been mocking them, ridiculing them in their own country. Can you believe it? The victims in their own country are being ridiculed by the political centers who actually encourage this terrorism in Kashmir. And today when their people, their brothers are killed, they come on street and they ask for security, which is 100% justified. But then we are living such times that there is no time for healing. Rahul, I'm very sad. I don't know what to say after this. I saw the scenes just now briefly before this interview, and it pains me so much that in your own country you can't do peaceful protest.
Do you think the state should have been more sensitive, Agnihotri ji?
Of course, state should use their power against terrorism. Like I said, there should be zero terrorism. What were they saying when it was CA protest or farmer protest? Yes, for the larger cause, 1 or 2 innocent people will also be victimized. The same people today are feeling happy, they are feeling good about this thing. So I think the state should be more sensible, more sensitive, they should be more compassionate, and it's time for us to show empathy towards all the victims. And why only Kashmiri victims? All the persecuted people who live in this country. Who else? And if they don't do it, I see very soon, I think the citizens will take law in their own hands. And I'm just warning, because I think somebody should know the pulse of the people.
Vivek Agnihotri, thank you for speaking your mind as always. Thank you very much for speaking with me.